Hey everyone, this is SpyFan 101, and I'm here today to review the latest episode of Jane the Virgin. Now, we all know what happened the last episode. Yeah, I don't need to tell you there. But, that was a really sad episode. But I am glad to say that we have turned back into the light because that last episode, chapter 54, literally took my soul away. But this new chapter 55, brought it right back. This episode was so dang good. It was so good. It brought a huge smile to my face. It was absolutely magnificent. I can't believe how good this episode was, people. Now, let me tell you in specifics why this episode is so good. First of all, we do stick with the 3-year time jump. I mean, I don't have a problem with it because it's very interesting to step into the future. That was an interesting concept. But yeah, we're in the 3-year time jump, and Jane still has the job. There are some instances where she agrees over Michael, but she's like, because I predicted in the last episode, I was like Michael would want Jane to keep moving forward, and then that's what was demonstrated in this episode. Like, we see Michael in like little instances where he's like, you can do it, Jane. And then he shows up later and he's like, I knew you could do it. But he's talking like through a picture. Like, it will make sense once you see the episode. So she's she's still raising Mateo. And I gotta admit, Mateo kind of annoyed me in this episode. I'm not gonna lie. He kind of did. But that's not going to change the fact that Mateo is still a child, so he's naive. He'll grow in time. So, since this is a 3-year time jump, we also find out that Raphael has gotten out of jail, and he's gone completely zen. He has a full beard. He's got all of that. And I'm just trying to process how good this episode was. So he's out of jail. He has like the full meditating like calm zen dude look and everything. And he's completely calm. And he does something later in the episode that I find pretty hilarious, but I'm not going to spoil the whole episode for you because you need to see this episode. Like last episode, the reason why I had to talk spoilers was because I literally couldn't believe what happened. I was in tears and I could not believe what happened. I had to literally process what happened. I had to get it off my chest. But with this episode, it was so good that you need to see it for yourself. You really do. So later in the episode, we find out that hold on. Oh yeah, I remember her name now. We find out that Petra is trying to make this new place for kids to hang out and play, but there was a couple complications with that, and she had to figure that out, and she did, which is pretty good. But at the end of the episode, there's something pretty crazy, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it has something to do with Scott. So yeah, but later, before all that happens, towards the end of the episode, we find out that Jane like, we know that Jane had made a book that was based on her mother. But when she was going on the stage, she wasn't reading the book about her mother. She was reading reading her love story with Michael. And this took me by surprise because, I didn't think she could handle it because, Michael was so dear to her. However, there are a few instances where she almost breaks into tears, which I had some tissues with me. I'm not gonna lie. I told you, like I said, well, I didn't tell you, but, I had to bring tissues because I was, with the preview for 55 that I saw last week, I thought there was gonna be a dark episode, so I had to prepare myself. But no, this was a pretty light episode, and a part of me really likes how they did that because for the first minute they show us the aftermath of Jane finding out that Michael is dead, and she's crying in her bed and everything, and that got me to tear up, people. This is the only show that's made me cry before, so huge props. And so she reads the book in front of everybody. Well, first off, I'm skipping a few points because you need to see this episode. So she almost backs out of the whole thing, in terms of reading. And Raphael comes in and says, "Look, you have to do this right now because if you don't, he's basically you have to do this right now." So she does it, and her book is a huge success. And we found out at the end of the episode that there is someone who actually wants to buy her book, and that's amazing in itself. So that's awesome. And this episode was just incredible. This is honestly one of the best chapters that I've seen from this show so far. I really enjoyed this episode. As soon as the episode ended, I was so relieved. I was so happy. My soul came flying back. And this episode was just great. So, for the first time in a long time, I'm giving this episode, chapter 55 of Jane the Virgin, an 11 out of 10. This was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely. I cannot wait for chapter 56. So, let me know if you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And tell me what you thought of this episode down below. So, I'm SpyFan101 saying peace. Man, this episode was good.
Awesome!